Treasure hunt. The Z-Stacks were very busy. Captain Zero's loud voice was full of greedy delight as he announced, "There's another big job tonight, lads. Some, pals of mine are sending up a ship to be unloaded. Very special cargo it is. Let's call it treasure, shall we? It's arriving at midnight for, extra security, and it must be offloaded immediately. Zorran, you're in charge as usual. No mistakes or there'll be trouble." The Z-Stacks looked at each other knowingly. The captain's less than honest friends quite often gave them jobs like this. Zip and Zug sighed wearily. Zorran told them off sharply. "Come on, you lazy lot. Don't think it's a holiday until that ship arrives tonight." Somehow, Zorran was much better at giving orders than doing jobs himself. This morning, however, he had something he wanted to do in person. The night before, a smallish cargo ship had got into trouble on rocks in the estuary. By now, it would only be fit for salvage. First, he collected the wreck and brought it back to the harbour. Then he went to see Burke and Blair, the salvage dealers. "Right, Zorran," they said, "we'll be over tomorrow morning to collect her." At the end of a long day, the treasure ship arrived. The exhausted Z-Stacks worked for hours, and finally the job was finished. All except for a few crates which they put on a barge next to the quay. "We'll do those in the morning," said Zorran bossily. "I've had enough." Next morning, rested and refueled, Zorran returned to the harbour. To his horror, he saw that the remaining crates of treasure were no longer there. Nor was the wreck he'd brought in from the estuary the day before. Zack was the only tug in sight. "Zack, you old fool! Where have you put those crates on the barge? They belong to the ship that came in last night. Burke and Blair picked up that wreck earlier and took them. No one told me." Zorran was furious. He rushed over to the salvage yard. Burke and Blair showed him the barge. Even though he didn't actually recognize the crates, Zorran grabbed them. After all, it had been very dark, and he'd been very tired when they were unloading. Back in the harbour, Zorran was shoving the crates onto the quayside when one fell over and broke open. It wasn't the treasure at all, but some old stores they had put out for rubbish collection. "I don't believe it," snarled Zorran. "Where are those rotten crates?" "If Captain Zero finds out I've messed up this job, my name will be mud," he said. He had to organise a proper search. The trouble was that the rest of the Z-Stacks were all busy that day. Out of the corner of his eye, Zorran spotted 10 cents. 10 cents was feeling rather low. The Z-Stacks had been getting all the big contracts lately, and he hated not being busy. When he saw Zorran beckon him, his heart sank. "This will be more of this showing off, I suppose," sighed 10 cents as he went over. 10 cents, said Zorran. I'm in a bit of a fix. I wonder if you can help me. Zorran told 10 Cents about the disappearing treasure crates. What exactly is this treasure? Asked 10 Cents. Could be anything, Zorran smirked. 10 Cents frowned. Zorran had got into this mess because he was too careless. Why should Star Tugs help him? All right, Zorran, but on one condition. Make sure we get the jobs when you've got more work than you can handle. It's a deal. But of course, Zorran didn't intend to keep his promise. So, as not to arouse Captain Zero's suspicion, Zorran searched their side of the harbour, while Star Tugs went to look everywhere else. First, 10 Cents and Big Mac tried the Municipal Waste Co. in case the crates had been taken there by mistake, but nothing had arrived there for 2 days. Then they tried the warehouses and all along the quay. It wasn't very easy because Zorran couldn't really describe the treasure. The harbour was full of crates and he couldn't start opening all of them. The treasure hunt is too difficult. This treasure hunt is too difficult, moaned Warrior. There aren't any clues. No luck, Zorran, said 10 Cents later. Are you sure you can't remember what the crates looked like? If I could, I would tell you, idiot. It was the same with Burke and Blair this morning. All I could say was that they were the crates on the barge next to the wreck. It's them, cried 10 Cents. Don't you see? They probably took your rubbish and the treasure this morning. When you arrived and couldn't remember what you'd lost, they only gave you the old stores back. Time to pay Burke and Blair a visit. Let's see if we can jog their memory. When Big Mac arrived at Burke and Blair's yard, asking more questions about lost crates, they looked worried and remembered they had got them after all. In fact, we were just going to contact Captain Zero about it. They grinned nervously at Big Mac. Well, you won't need to now, will you? I'll just take these, thanks. Big Mac gave the crates to Zorran, who had waited in the harbour. He hated to admit it, but the Star Tugs had got him out of trouble. Well, thanks boys, said Zorran. Of course, I'd realised they must be with Burke and Blair myself, but I thought I'd let you take the credit for the detective work, seeing as you're having a difficult time right now. 10 Cents opened his mouth to shout at Zorran, but was interrupted by Captain Zero's angry voice. Zorran, come here! Some of that, treasure is missing. Don't tell me you've lost it, you stupid tug. So the captain had found out after all. Zorran would have to do some very fast talking this time. Coming right away, Captain. I can explain everything. That will teach him to be so high and mighty, said 10 Cents. He grinned at the others. Later, Zorran came over looking very surly. He scowled as he said, "Our wonderful captain seems to think we need some help with 1 or 2 unimportant jobs. Any of your fellas free?" "So you're keeping your promise, Zorran," said 10 Cents. Zorran didn't say anything. He just scowled even harder.